Commander Jake Harris sat in his chair and looked at the big screens around him. The space station called Cerberus floated far beyond Mars. It was his job to watch for danger coming from deep space. For 3 years, nothing exciting had happened. Today was different. "Sir, I'm getting something strange," said Lisa Bell. She was the best sensor operator on the station. Her fingers moved fast over the control panel. "There are big objects coming into our solar system." Jake stood up and walked to her station. "How big? Really big, sir? Bigger than our largest ships? And there are many of them." Lisa's voice shook a little. "I count at least 50 ships." Ryan Clark looked up from his tactical station. He was a good officer who never got excited about anything. But now his face was serious. "Commander, these ships don't match any design we know. They're not human ships." Jake felt his heart beat faster. First contact with aliens was something every space officer dreamed about. But these ships were coming in a military formation. This did not look like a friendly visit. "Send a message to Earth Command right now," Jake ordered. "Tell them we have unknown ships entering the solar system. Send all the data we have." The aliens did not wait long to make their intentions clear. A strong signal came through all communication channels. The voice that spoke was deep and cold. It used perfect English, which meant these aliens had been watching humans for a long time. "People of Earth," the alien voice said, "we are the Zilani hegemony. We have conquered 47 star systems. Your species is primitive and weak. You will surrender your planet to us immediately. Resistance is pointless. We will arrive at your world in 7 days. Prepare for your new masters." Jake and his crew looked at each other in shock. Lisa's face went pale. Ryan's hands moved to his weapons controls without thinking. On the main screen, they could see the alien fleet getting bigger as it came closer to Mars, far away on Earth. Admiral Kate Morgan was in her command center aboard the flagship Defiant. She was a tough woman who had fought in the asteroid wars 20 years ago. When the message from Commander Harris arrived, she read it 3 times before calling her staff. "Ben Torres, get in here," she called to her intelligence officer. Ben was a smart man who could look at enemy ships and tell you everything about them in minutes. "Admiral, I've been studying the alien signal," Ben said as he entered the room. "These Zilani ships use old technology. Their formation is something from a textbook. They think they're so much better than us that they don't even try to hide their plans." Admiral Morgan smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a hunter who had found prey. "They made a big mistake, Ben. They told us they're coming instead of just attacking. That gives us time." "Yes, ma'am. And look at this." Ben showed her a data pad. Their energy patterns suggest their weapons are designed for fighting species that don't fight back much. These aliens are used to easy victories. On Earth, President Alex Carter sat in the emergency meeting room. With him were Defense Secretary Amy Walsh and General Paul Stone, the head of Space Command. All 3 of them had serious faces, but they were not afraid. "How long do we have?" President Carter asked. 7 days, maybe 6 if they speed up," General Stone replied. "But sir, this might be the best thing that could happen to us." Amy Walsh nodded. "We've been preparing for this day for 30 years. Every defense system, every weapon, every ship was built for fighting aliens. We just didn't know when they would come." President Carter looked at the star charts on the wall. "What do we know about their capabilities?" "They're overconfident," Amy said. "Intelligence reports suggest they've conquered other species through fear and overwhelming numbers. But those other species were peaceful. They didn't fight wars for thousands of years like humans have." General Stone pulled up tactical displays. "Our weapons are designed to fight enemies with advanced shields and energy weapons. Everything we've built was made to kill things exactly like these Zilani ships." Back on the Cerberus station, Jake Harris watched the alien fleet move through space. The ships were beautiful in a deadly way. They looked like silver sharks swimming through the darkness. But Jake was not impressed by their beauty. "Lisa, are you getting any more communications from them?" he asked. "No, sir. They sent that one message, and now they're silent. But our long-range sensors show they're not trying to hide. They're flying straight toward Earth, like they own the place already." Ryan Clark checked his weapon systems for the 10th time. "Commander, should we try to slow them down?" Jake thought about it. The Cerberus had weapons, but not enough to fight 50 alien ships. "No, our job is to watch and report. Admiral Morgan will want to know everything about these ships before the fighting starts." On the alien flagship, War Master Kethfer stood on his command bridge. He was tall and strong, with 4 arms and skin like gray metal. Around him, his officers prepared for another easy conquest. "How long until we reach the human homeworld?" he asked his navigator. "6 of their days, War Master," came the reply. "Should we launch scouts ahead?" Kethfer made a sound like laughter. "No need. These humans have only just learned to travel between planets. They cannot possibly threaten us. We will arrive, they will surrender, and we will add another species to our empire." His tactical officer spoke up. "War Master, our sensors detect human ships near the 4th planet. Should we destroy them? Let them watch?" Kethfer said with pride. "Let them see our power and report back to their leaders. Fear will make the conquest easier." The War Master did not know that his decision to let the human ships live was the first of many mistakes he would make. He did not know that humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. He did not know that human weapons were designed by people who understood war better than any species in the galaxy. Most importantly, he did not know that Admiral Morgan was not planning to meet him at Earth. She was planning to meet him at Mars, where no human had ever lost a battle. As the alien fleet moved closer, secret messages flew between human ships across the solar system. Orders were given, weapons were loaded. Soldiers said goodbye to their families. The Zilani thought they were coming to conquer a weak species. Instead, they were flying into the greatest military trap in human history. In 6 days, they would learn why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. But for now, they flew through space in their silver ships, dreaming of easy victory and new slaves. They had no idea that their war was already lost. Captain Steve Johnson moved through the corridors of his stealth ship Ghost like a man with a mission. His ship was one of 12 special vessels that most people didn't know existed. They were painted black and built to hide from enemy sensors. Today, they would prove their worth. "All hands, this is the captain," Steve spoke into his communication system. "We're going to show these aliens what happens when they threaten Earth. Remember your training and do your jobs. That's all we need to do." His crew was ready. They had trained for this moment their whole careers. Lieutenant Mike Brady, the weapons officer, checked every missile and laser cannon. Sergeant Carol White, the sensor specialist, made sure her equipment could track the alien ships without being detected. Steve's ship, and 11 others like it, spread out across the solar system. They moved like invisible wolves, getting into position around the alien fleet. The Zilani had no idea they were being watched by some of the best military minds humanity had ever produced. On Earth, Dr. Helen Parker worked day and night in her laboratory. She was the smartest person most people had ever met when it came to alien technology. But she had never studied real alien technology before. Now she had signals and data from the Zilani ships to examine. "Carl, look at this," she said to her partner, Dr. Carl Davis. Carl was a physicist who understood energy better than anyone else on Earth. Together, they made a perfect team. "What am I looking at?" Carl asked, studying the data on Helen's screen. "The alien shield frequency. See this pattern? It's almost like they're using old technology from hundreds of years ago." Helen's eyes were bright with excitement. "Carl, this is amazing. Their shields work on a frequency that our weapons were designed to break through." Carl stared at the numbers. "That's impossible." How could we design weapons to fight aliens we'd never met? Helen laughed, but not because it was funny. We didn't design them to fight aliens. We designed them to fight each other. Humans have been making better and better weapons for thousands of years. We just got lucky that alien technology isn't as advanced as we thought it would be. The two scientists worked for hours, learning everything they could about Zelani technology. Every piece of information they discovered was sent immediately to Admiral Morgan and her fleet commanders. Knowledge was a weapon, and humans were very good at using weapons. On Luna Base, Colonel Nina Brooks stood in the control room of humanity's most secret project. Around her, dozens of technicians prepared weapons that had been hidden for 20 years. The aliens thought they were flying toward a peaceful planet. They had no idea that humans had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Lieutenant Sam Foster, report, Nina called to her engineering officer. All kinetic platforms are online, Colonel, Sam replied. He was a young man, but he understood weapons better than officers twice his age. We have tungsten rods ready to fire from Luna Base, the asteroid belt, and the outer planets. Each rod weighs 1 ton and can travel at 1/10 the speed of light. Nina smiled. The kinetic bombardment system had been her idea 10 years ago. Most people thought it was too expensive and too dangerous. Now it would save humanity from alien conquest. What about the railgun networks? She asked. Ready to fire, ma'am? Every mining station and space dock has been converted into a weapons platform. The aliens will think they're flying through empty space, but really, they'll be flying through the biggest gun barrel ever built. Across the solar system, Admiral Morgan was putting her fleet into position, but she was not putting them where the aliens expected. Most military commanders would try to defend Earth directly. Admiral Morgan was smarter than that. Ben Torres, show me the tactical display. She ordered her intelligence officer. Ben brought up a 3-dimensional map of the solar system. Red dots showed the alien fleet approaching from the edge of the system. Blue dots showed human ships moving into formation near Mars. Admiral, why are we meeting them so far from Earth? Asked Captain Dan Kelly. Dan commanded the destroyer Reaper and was one of the best combat officers in the fleet. Because, Captain, they expect us to defend our home planet, Admiral Morgan explained. They expect us to be scared and desperate. Instead, we're going to meet them in open space, where we can use all our advantages. What advantages? Dan asked. Admiral Morgan's smile was cold and dangerous. Speed, coordination, and firepower. The aliens are used to fighting species that surrender quickly. They've never fought anyone who hits back harder than they do. Captain Jake Harris, still watching from his station beyond Mars, sent constant reports to the Admiral. His job was to track every alien ship and report any changes in their formation or speed. Admiral, this is Commander Harris, he said over the communication system. The alien fleet is maintaining formation. They're not sending scouts ahead or trying to gather intelligence. They're flying blind. Perfect, Admiral Morgan replied. Keep watching, Commander. Let me know if anything changes. Dr. Helen Parker made another important discovery in her laboratory. She called Admiral Morgan directly, something she rarely did. Admiral, I've found something critical, Helen said. The alien ships communicate using a very simple system. We can listen to everything they say to each other. Even better, we might be able to jam their communications during battle. Can you break their codes? Admiral Morgan asked. We don't need to. They're not using codes. These aliens are so confident that they don't think anyone can intercept their messages. It's like they've never fought a real war before. Admiral Morgan felt a cold satisfaction. Every piece of information about the aliens showed the same thing. They were conquerors, but they were not warriors. They had spent so long fighting weak enemies that they had forgotten how to fight strong ones. On the alien flagship, War Master Kethfer was becoming impatient. His species had conquered 47 worlds, and every conquest had followed the same pattern. The aliens would arrive, the local species would see their massive fleet, and surrender would follow within hours. Why haven't the humans contacted us to surrender? He asked his communication officer. Unknown War Master. Perhaps they don't understand the hopelessness of their situation. Kethver made an angry sound. Send the surrender, demand again. Tell them they have 2 days to respond, before we destroy their largest cities. The message was sent, but no reply came from Earth. The humans were too busy preparing for war to waste time talking to their enemies. Captain Steve Johnson received orders to move his stealth ships closer to the alien fleet. His job was to map every ship and identify the command vessels. When the battle started, those would be the first targets. Carol, how close can we get without being detected? He asked his sensor specialist. Pretty close, Captain. Their sensors are good, but they're not looking for ships like ours. I think we can get within a few thousand kilometers before they spot us. Steve nodded. Do it. I want to see the look on their faces when they realize they're surrounded. All across the solar system, humans made final preparations. Weapons were loaded, ships were positioned, and soldiers said prayers. In 6 hours, the alien fleet would reach Mars orbit. In 6 hours, they would discover that conquering humanity was the biggest mistake they had ever made. Colonel Nina Brooks gave the order to arm all kinetic platforms. Lieutenant Sam Foster confirmed that every tungsten rod was ready to fire. Dr. Helen Parker finished her analysis of alien technology and sent her final report to the fleet. Admiral Morgan stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the tactical display. Everything was ready. The trap was set. Now, all they had to do was wait for the aliens to fly into it. The Zilani fleet continued toward Mars, unaware that they were about to face the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. They thought they were hunting sheep. They were about to learn they had found wolves. The Zilani fleet arrived at Mars orbit exactly when their computers predicted they would. War Master Kethver stood on his command bridge and looked at the red planet through the viewing screen. It was a dead world, just like 46 other planets. He had conquered, but Mars was not empty. As the alien ships approached, they found the human fleet waiting for them in perfect battle formation. War Master, we detect human ships ahead, reported his sensor officer. 32 vessels in defensive formation around the planet. Kethver laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the bridge. 32 ships against 50. These humans are even more foolish than I thought. Signal the fleet to prepare for battle. This will be over quickly. He was right about one thing. The battle would be over quickly, but not in the way he expected. Admiral Morgan stood on the bridge of her flagship, defiant, and watched the alien fleet approach. Her officers waited for orders, but she remained calm. Everything was going according to plan. Admiral, the alien fleet is moving into attack formation, reported her tactical officer. Let them come, Admiral Morgan said quietly. Captain Kelly, are you ready? Captain Dan Kelly's voice came through the communication system from his destroyer Reaper. Ready and waiting, Admiral. My guns are locked on their lead ship. Fire when ready, Captain. Dan Kelly had been waiting his whole career for a moment like this. His destroyer was armed with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever built. Railguns that could punch through any armor, plasma cannons that burned hotter than the sun, missiles that could think for themselves and find any target. All weapons, fire, Dan ordered. The human fleet opened fire all at once. Beams of energy and streams of metal projectiles crossed the space between the two fleets in seconds. The aliens had expected to see primitive weapons that would barely scratch their shields. Instead, they watched in horror as human weapons tore through their defenses like paper. The first Zilani ship to die was a cruiser called Sword of Glory. Captain Kelly's railgun hit it directly in the center. The tungsten slug punched completely through the ship and came out the other side. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Mars. "Impossible, War Master," Kethver whispered. "Their weapons cannot be that powerful." But they were. Human weapons had been designed by a species that had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other efficiently. Every gun, every missile, every piece of military technology had been tested in real wars, against real enemies. The Zilani had spent centuries conquering species that barely fought back. They had forgotten what real warfare looked like. "Return. Fire," Kethver ordered. "Destroy their ships." The alien fleet fired their energy weapons at the human ships. Bright beams of coherent light struck human shields and armor. But the damage was minimal. Human defenses had been built to stop weapons, exactly like the ones the aliens were using. Captain Steve Johnson watched the battle from his stealth ship, Ghost. His orders were to wait until the aliens were confused and then attack from behind. That moment had arrived. "All stealth ships, this is Captain Johnson," he said over the tactical network. "The aliens are focused on Admiral Morgan's fleet. Time to show them what a real surprise attack looks like." 12 black ships appeared out of nowhere around the alien fleet. They had been invisible until the moment they fired their weapons. Now they struck at the alien ships from every direction at once. Lieutenant Mike Brady, Steve's weapons officer, targeted an alien destroyer. "Firing missiles," he announced. 6 smart missiles streaked toward the enemy ship. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but human missiles were too fast and too clever. All 6 hit their target. The alien destroyer broke apart and died. Commander Jake Harris coordinated the battle from his monitoring station. His job was to track every ship and make sure no alien vessel escaped. So far, no alien ship had even tried to run away. "Admiral Morgan, this is Commander Harris," he reported. "Enemy fleet is taking massive casualties. I count 15 alien ships destroyed in the first 10 minutes. "Confirmed, Commander," Admiral Morgan replied. "Continue tracking. I want to know if any of them try to retreat." But the aliens were not retreating. They were too shocked to understand what was happening. In 47 previous conquests, enemy weapons had barely been able to damage Zilani's shields. Now human weapons were destroying their ships faster than they could count. War Master Kethver stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Red lights showed dead ships. More red lights appeared every few seconds. His fleet was being destroyed by an enemy he had thought was primitive and weak. "Damage report," he demanded. "War Master, we have lost 18 ships," his tactical officer reported with a shaking voice. "The human weapons are far more advanced than our intelligence suggested. Their ships are faster and stronger than ours. That's impossible. We have conquered 47 worlds. No species has weapons like this. The humans do, War Master." Captain Dan Kelly maneuvered his destroyer Reaper through the battle like a fighter pilot. His ship was faster and more agile than the heavy alien cruisers. He could attack them from any angle while they struggled to turn their big guns toward him. "Target their command ship," Dan ordered his weapons officer. "If we can kill their leader, the rest might surrender." "Firing railgun," came the reply. The tungsten slug hit the alien flagship's shields and broke through them. The ship shook from the impact, but did not explode. "Their flagship has stronger armor," the weapons officer reported. "We'll need more firepower." "Then let's give it to them," Dan said with a smile. "Fire everything." The Reaper unleashed its full arsenal at the alien flagship. Railguns, plasma cannons, and missiles all struck the same target within seconds. The alien ship's shields collapsed completely. Its armor cracked and broke. But still, it did not die. Admiral Morgan saw what Captain Kelly was trying to do. She decided to help him finish the job. "All ships, focus fire on the alien flagship. Let's end this." 32 human ships turned their weapons on War Master Kethfer's command vessel. The concentrated firepower was like standing in front of a volcano when it erupted. No ship in the galaxy could survive that much destruction focused on one target. But, before the human fleet could fire, something unexpected happened. Colonel Nina Brooks' kinetic platforms joined the battle. From Luna Base, from the asteroid belt, and from the outer planets, tungsten rods began falling toward the alien fleet. Each rod weighed 1 ton and traveled at 1/10 the speed of light. When they hit, they released more energy than nuclear weapons. "Kinetic bombardment incoming," announced Lieutenant Sam Foster from his control room on Luna Base. "Impact in 3, 2, 1. The first rod hit an alien battleship in the center of its hull. The ship simply vanished in a flash of light and energy. The second rod hit a cruiser and turned it into glowing gas. The third rod missed its target but flew past so close that the heat from its passage melted the alien. Ship's armor War Master Kethfer watched his fleet die around him. Ships that had conquered star systems were being destroyed like toys. His proud armada was becoming a field of wreckage and fire. Signaled the fleet to retreat, he ordered desperately. "I'm trying, War Master, but the humans are jamming our communications," his communication officer replied. "I can't reach the other ships." Dr. Helen Parker was using her knowledge of alien technology to block their communications. From her laboratory on Earth, she had turned their own systems against them. The alien ships could not talk to each other or coordinate their defense. Captain Steve Johnson's stealth ships continued to attack from unexpected angles. His ship Ghost destroyed 2 more alien vessels while they were trying to retreat. The aliens couldn't fight enemies they couldn't see. "Admiral, the alien fleet is trying to withdraw," Commander Harris reported. "But our stealth ships are preventing their escape." "Perfect," Admiral Morgan replied. "Continue the attack. Don't let any of them get away." The battle had been going on for 30 minutes. In that time, the Zilani had lost 43 of their 50 ships. The remaining 7 were badly damaged and trying desperately to escape. War Master Kethfer's flagship was still alive, but just barely. His shields were gone, his weapons were damaged, and his engines were failing. Around him, his officers stared at their displays in shock. "How is this possible?" one of them whispered. "We are the Zilani hegemony. We have conquered 47 worlds." "We conquered 47 worlds that couldn't fight back," Kethfer said bitterly. "These humans are different. They are warriors." He was right. The humans were warriors. They had been fighting wars for their entire history. Every human ship, every human weapon, every human tactic had been developed through thousands of years of conflict. The Zilani had spent so long fighting weak enemies that they had forgotten what strong enemies looked like. As the last few alien ships tried to escape, Admiral Morgan gave the order that would end the battle forever. "All ships, finish them off. Leave no survivors." The human fleet moved in for the kill. The human fleet moved through the wreckage of the alien armada like hunters finishing wounded prey. Admiral Morgan had given clear orders. No alien ship could be allowed to escape, and warn others about human military capability. Captain Dan Kelly's destroyer Reaper chased down a damaged alien cruiser that was trying to flee toward the outer system. The alien ship's engines were smoking and its shields were down, but it was still trying to run. "Target their engines," Dan ordered his weapons officer. "I want them dead in space, not dead in pieces. We might need prisoners." The railgun fired. Once the tungsten slug hit the alien ship's engine compartment perfectly, the cruiser stopped moving and began drifting through space like a piece of junk. "Sir, we're getting a surrender signal from that ship," reported the communication officer. Don smiled coldly. "Tell them to prepare to be boarded, and tell them that if they try anything stupid, we'll blow them into atoms." Across the battle zone, other human ships were finishing off the remaining aliens. Captain Steve Johnson's stealth ship Ghost appeared next to an alien destroyer that thought it was hidden behind a piece of wreckage. "Surprise," Steve said quietly, and ordered his weapons to fire. The alien ship exploded before its crew even knew they were under attack. That was the difference between human warfare and alien conquest. Humans had learned to be efficient killers through necessity. The aliens had only learned to intimidate weaker species. Lieutenant Colonel Rick Hayes prepared his Marines for boarding operations aboard one of the crippled alien ships. Rick was a tough soldier who had fought in the Titan Rebellion 5 years earlier. His men trusted him to keep them alive in dangerous situations. "Listen up, Marines," Rick told his squad. "We're going aboard an alien ship to take prisoners and gather intelligence. These aliens are bigger and stronger than us, but they're not better fighters. Stick to your training and watch each other's backs." Sergeant Joe Miller checked his rifle one more time. Joe had been fighting for 15 years and had never lost a battle. He wasn't planning to start now. "Colonel, what do we know about alien combat capability?" Joe asked. "According to intelligence, they're physically superior, but tactically inferior," Rick replied. "They're used to fighting enemies who give up quickly. They've never faced soldiers who fight back hard." Corporal Lisa Stone was the squad's demolitions expert. She carried enough explosives to blow a hole in a space station. But today her job was to capture aliens, not kill them. "Rules of engagement, sir?" Lisa asked. "Capture if possible, kill if necessary," Rick answered. "Remember, these aliens came here to conquer Earth and enslave humanity. They don't deserve mercy, but we need information." The boarding pod attached to the alien cruiser with a loud clang. Rick's Marines cut through the hull with plasma torches and poured into the alien ship like a flood of destruction. The interior of the alien ship was strange and dark. The corridors were too tall for humans, and everything was built for beings with 4 arms instead of 2. But the Marines adapted quickly. Humans were very good at adapting to new situations. The first alien they encountered was hiding behind a bulkhead with some kind of energy weapon. It was 7 feet tall, with gray skin and 4 muscular arms. It looked dangerous and alien and completely terrifying. Sergeant Joe Miller shot it twice in the chest before it could fire its weapon. "Target down," Joe reported calmly. Moving forward, the aliens had expected to terrorize humans with their size and appearance. Instead, they discovered that human soldiers didn't care what their enemies looked like. Dead was dead, regardless of how many arms you had. Lieutenant Colonel Rick Hayes led his Marines deeper into the ship. They moved with the precision of a machine and the deadliness of wolves. Every corner was checked, every room was cleared, and every alien they found was either captured or killed. The alien crew was in panic. They had never fought soldiers like these humans. Most species they had conquered were peaceful beings who surrendered when faced with violence. Humans seemed to enjoy violence and were extremely good at it. "Alien Commander located," Corporal Lisa Stone reported over the radio. "He's in what looks like the bridge. There are 6 aliens with him, all armed. Can you take them alive?" Rick asked. "Maybe half of them," Lisa replied. "The others will probably fight. Do your best." Lisa tossed a stun grenade into the alien bridge. The device exploded with a flash of light and a burst of sound that knocked the aliens to the floor. 3 of them stayed down. The other 3 got back up and tried to fight. Sergeant Joe Miller and 2 other Marines entered the bridge, firing their weapons on stun setting. The aliens were tough, but human stun weapons were designed to stop anything alive. Within seconds, all 6 aliens were unconscious on the floor. "Bridge secured," Rick reported to Admiral Morgan. "We have 6 prisoners, including their ship commander." "Excellent work, Colonel," Admiral Morgan replied. "Transport them to the Defiant for interrogation." Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Parker was analyzing the battle data from her laboratory on Earth. Every human weapon hit, every alien weapon miss, Every tactical decision was being recorded and studied. The information would be used to make human forces even more deadly in future battles. "Carl, look at these efficiency ratings," Helen said to her partner, Dr. Carl Davis. "Human weapons are achieving a 97% hit rate. Alien weapons are hitting human ships only 12% of the time." Carl studied the numbers with amazement. "It's like they're fighting with museum pieces. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours." "No, their technology is different. It's designed for intimidation, not warfare. They're used to enemies who surrender when they see the Zilani fleet. They've never had to actually fight anyone before." Dr. Helen Parker's analysis was being proven correct all across the battle zone. The few remaining alien ships were being hunted down and destroyed by human forces that moved with deadly precision. Admiral Morgan coordinated the final phase of the battle from her flagship. On her tactical display, she could see the last 3 alien ships trying desperately to escape the solar system. "Captain Johnson, intercept those fleeing vessels," she ordered. "Don't let them reach the edge of the system." Captain Steve Johnson's stealth ships were already moving. The Ghost and its sister ships, Shadow and Phantom, spread out to block the aliens' escape route. The 3 alien ships found themselves trapped between the stealth squadron and the main human fleet. "This is your only warning," Steve broadcast to the alien ships. "Surrender now, or be destroyed." One of the alien ships tried to surrender. The other 2 opened fire on the stealth ships, hoping to fight their way out of the trap. It was the last mistake they ever made. The Ghost and Shadow fired simultaneously. Their weapons hit the 2 fighting alien ships at exactly the same moment. Both ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The 3rd alien ship, seeing the fate of its companions, immediately shut down its weapons and engines. Its commander sent a frantic surrender message in broken English. "We yield to human superiority," the message said. "Please do not destroy us. We surrender completely." Admiral Morgan accepted the surrender, but ordered the ship to be boarded and searched. She wanted to make sure there were no surprises hidden aboard the alien vessel. Colonel Nina Brooks watched the final moments of the battle from her command center on Luna Base. Her kinetic platforms had fired 17 tungsten rods during the fighting. 16 had hit their targets. 1 had missed and was now flying out of the solar system at tremendous speed. "Lieutenant Foster, secure all weapons," she ordered. "Prepare damage assessment reports." "Yes, ma'am," Sam Foster replied. "Colonel, the kinetic bombardment system performed perfectly. We destroyed 12 alien ships without a single malfunction." Nina nodded with satisfaction. The weapon system she had designed had proven itself in the most important battle in human history. Commander Jake Harris continued tracking the battle from his monitoring station. His sensors showed empty space where the alien fleet had been an hour earlier. 50 alien ships had entered the solar system. Now there were only pieces of wreckage and 3 captured vessels. "Admiral Morgan, this is Commander Harris," he reported. "All hostile vessels have been neutralized. The alien fleet is completely destroyed." "Casualties?" Admiral Morgan asked. "0 human ships lost," Jake replied with pride. "Minor damage to 4 vessels. No human fatalities." The most one-sided battle in galactic history was over. 50 alien ships destroyed, 3 captured, 0 human losses. War Master Caspar sat in his cell aboard the human flagship Defiant. His mighty fleet was gone. His proud warriors were dead. His invasion had become a complete disaster. For the first time in his life, he understood what it felt like to be completely defeated by a superior enemy. The humans had not just won the battle. They had made it look easy. As he sat in the darkness of his prison cell, Caspar realized that the Zilani hegemony had made a terrible mistake. They had tried to conquer the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and that species had just taught them what real warfare looked like. 3 days after the battle, Captain Jake Harris floated through the wreckage field in a small shuttle. His job was to oversee the salvage operations and make sure no alien technology was lost. The debris from 50 alien ships spread across thousands of kilometers of space. "Commander, we're finding some interesting things out here," reported his salvage chief, Lieutenant Bob Wilson. "The alien ships are built with materials we've never seen before, and their computers contain star charts for dozens of solar systems." Jake nodded as he looked at the twisted remains of what had once been a proud alien fleet. "Collect everything, Lieutenant. Every piece of metal, every computer chip, every weapon fragment. We need to learn everything we can about these aliens and their empire." Dr. Carl Davis worked alongside teams of scientists who were studying captured alien technology. The Zilani had brought advanced materials and interesting energy systems, but their military technology was surprisingly primitive. "It's like they stopped developing weapons centuries ago," Carl explained to his research team. "Their shields, their guns, their armor, everything is designed to fight enemies who don't fight back very hard." One of the young scientists raised her hand. "Dr. Davis, why would they stop improving their military technology?" Carl smiled. "Because they didn't need to. When you're conquering species that surrender immediately, you don't need better weapons. The Zilani got lazy and overconfident." In the prison cells aboard Admiral Morgan's flagship, Lieutenant Colonel Rick Hayes questioned the captured alien officers. The interviews revealed shocking information about the Zilani Empire and how they had conquered so many worlds. "Tell me about the other species you conquered," Rick demanded of the alien commander. The Zilani officer, whose name was Sub-Commander Victor, spoke in broken English. "They were weak, peaceful. When they saw our ships, they surrendered without fighting. We did not need to destroy them." "All of them?" Rick asked with disbelief. "All of them," Victor confirmed. 47 species. All surrendered within one day of our arrival. We thought all intelligent life was like them." Rick looked at Sergeant Joe Miller, who was standing guard nearby. Both men were thinking the same thing. The aliens had never fought a real war before coming to Earth. "What about your own people?" Rick continued. "Do the Zilani fight each other?" Victor made a sound that might have been laughter. "Fight each other? Why would we do that? Fighting is inefficient. We use our strength to conquer weaker species, not waste it on ourselves." Rick understood now why the aliens had been so easy to defeat. They had forgotten how to fight because they had never fought anyone who could fight back. President Alex Carter stood before a joint session of Congress and the world's media. The time had come to reveal the truth about humanity's preparations for alien contact. "My fellow Americans and citizens of the world," the president began. 3 days ago, humanity faced its first test as a spacefaring species. An alien empire called the Zilani Hegemony arrived in our solar system with 50 warships and demanded our surrender. The audience was completely silent. Everyone in the world had heard about the alien invasion, but few people knew the details. "I am here to tell you that the threat has been eliminated," President Carter continued. "Our military forces destroyed the entire alien fleet without losing a single human ship or life." The audience erupted in cheers and applause, but President Carter raised his hand for silence. "However, I must also tell you that this was not humanity's first contact with alien life. We have known about the existence of other species for 30 years. We have been preparing for this day since 2127. The revelation shocked the world. Defense Secretary Amy Walsh stepped forward to explain the details. For 3 decades, our space program has been designed around one primary goal, Amy said: defending Earth from alien invasion. Every ship we built, every weapon we developed, every defense system we installed was created with this threat in mind. General Paul Stone provided the military perspective. We studied every science fiction story, every alien invasion movie, every theoretical scenario we could imagine, We prepared for enemies with advanced technology, superior numbers, and unknown capabilities. The president took the podium again. What we discovered is that humanity's greatest weakness became our greatest strength. Our history of warfare, our competitive nature, our refusal to surrender, all of these traits that have caused so much suffering on Earth, saved us from alien conquest. Dr. Helen Parker was invited to address the world's scientific community. Her analysis of alien technology had provided crucial intelligence during the battle. The Zilani Empire conquered 47 species through intimidation rather than superior military technology, she explained. Their weapons and defenses were designed to frighten peaceful civilizations into surrendering quickly. Dr. Carl Davis joined her at the podium. By contrast, human military technology is the result of thousands of years of warfare evolution. Our weapons are designed to kill other humans, who are intelligent, adaptable, and dangerous opponents. In other words, Dr. Helen continued, we were accidentally overqualified for fighting aliens. Admiral Morgan held a press conference aboard her flagship to explain the military aspects of the victory. She stood before cameras and reporters from around the world, still wearing her battle uniform. The alien fleet entered our solar system, expecting to fight primitive humans with basic technology, she said. Instead, they encountered the most advanced military force in the galaxy. A reporter asked, Admiral, how were you able to achieve such a decisive victory? 3 factors, Admiral Morgan replied. Superior technology, superior tactics, and superior motivation? The aliens were fighting for conquest. We were fighting for survival. Captain Dan Kelly joined the press conference to represent the fleet commanders who had fought in the battle. The aliens made several critical mistakes, Dan explained. They announced their intentions, instead of attacking immediately. They flew in predictable formations. They underestimated human capabilities. And most importantly, they had never fought anyone who fought back. Captain Steve Johnson described the role of the stealth ships in the battle. The aliens never knew we were there until we started shooting. By the time they realized they were surrounded, it was too late. Colonel Nina Brooks explained how the kinetic bombardment system had contributed to the victory. We turned our entire solar system into a weapon. The aliens thought they were flying through empty space, but really they were flying into the biggest gun ever built. The captured alien officers were eventually exchanged for information about the Zilani Empire and the other species they had conquered. The intelligence revealed a galaxy full of peaceful civilizations that had never learned to defend themselves. Lieutenant Colonel Rick Hayes supervised the prisoner exchange. War Master Kethver was the last alien to be released. Before he left, Rick had one final conversation with him. What will you tell your people about what happened here? Rick asked. Kethver looked at the human officer with what might have been respect. I will tell them the truth, that we found a species we could not conquer, that humans are not prey, that humanity is the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. And what will your empire do with that information? We will leave you alone, Kethver said simply. The Zilani hegemony does not fight wars it cannot win. As the alien ships departed the solar system, carrying news of humanity's military superiority back to their empire, the people of Earth began to understand their new place in the galaxy. Commander Jake Harris returned to his monitoring station beyond Mars, but now his job was different. Instead of watching for alien invaders, he was watching for alien visitors. Word of humanity's victory was spreading across the galaxy, and other species wanted to meet the warriors who had destroyed the Zilani fleets. Commander, we're getting diplomatic signals from at least 12 different species, reported Lisa Bell. They all want to establish peaceful contact with Earth. Jake smiled. Put me through to Admiral Morgan. I think she's going to be very busy in the coming months. Admiral Morgan was indeed busy. Her fleet, which had been built to defend Earth from invasion, was now being converted into an exploration force. Humanity was no longer hiding in its solar system. They were ready to take their place among the stars, but they would do so as the most respected and feared military power in the galaxy. The age of human expansion had begun, and every alien species in the galaxy knew that these new neighbors were not to be trifled with. The Zilani had come to Earth expecting to find another weak species to add to their empire. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant that would reshape the galaxy forever. In the end, the invasion fleet never reached Earth because Earth had reached out first. With weapons that spoke louder than words and a military precision that turned conquest into catastrophe, the humans had won their first interstellar war before it truly began, and the galaxy would never be the same again.